I'm break.
Microphone activated.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys for waiting. That time is here. This is Compete League's Gold Competitive League qualifiers. My name is Roofster, and joining me today this wonderful afternoon, we have Burnout. Burnout, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good today. I got platinum last night, so that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
that was exciting.
Congratulations, congratulations! Very big achievement there. On your way to Diamond for sure. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. I got front page on Reddit too, so that was pretty funny.
Oh, nice. That's like
yeah.
That never happened to me, so I'm pretty envious of that. But
it was 5 a.m., so it's not that like big of a deal.
Well, nonetheless, we do have the final day after 2 days of grueling games and all these teams fighting it out, trying to get into the GCL. We have finally got our teams for today. So congratulations to these following teams for making it into the Gold Competitive League. The following teams made it were Shifting Society, Goons Incorporated, Special Beam Cannon, Cooking Mama's Kitchen, Kitty Perry, Passion Gaming, Day Wards, and Hesher. So, what round of applause for them. And today we're going to be starting off these games are pretty much going to be for bragging rights and just to finish out the tournament bracket to see who comes out on top in this qualifier tournament. So the first game is actually going to be Day Wards versus Cooking Mama's Kitchen. So we are about to engage shortly, but we've had quite some eventful games here lately, Burnout.
Yeah, we have. I mean, some very exciting games happened yesterday, the day before that, and I'm looking forward to some even more exciting games today because we have some of the best competitors going into the Compete League, and I'm looking forward to see them play against each other.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely going to be a very, very fun-filled, action-packed league to come. So I urge you guys to join us. Please don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Compete League, and also you can find us on Facebook. At the link below, there's a picture of the Facebook icon. You can just click that, but if not, you can type in facebook.com/Compete League. And here we are. We are in Champion Select right now. So right away, Dr. Mundo, Annie, and Shyvana bans. That's not too out of this world bans here.
No, they're all pretty standard. I mean, Revax has been playing a very, very solid Annie, so they probably want to take that away from him. I mean, Annie is something you want to ban if you don't want to get kind of bursted down in lane. Thresh and Leona are both very popular right now, so Annie hasn't been as popular as she was at the very start of the season before all the supports got buffed. But the Zed ban is a little bit unorthodox. That's probably a targeted ban because Zed, though he's still strong, he's a very, very high skilled champion, and he requires like a proper team composition to work with him. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking to maybe see that might have been a targeted ban. And then the Nasus is also a very strong champion right now because of the new masteries, and he can just sustain up in lane and just survive forever and ever, and then stack up his Q and then eventually become a late game monster.
Yeah, so this is actually the first time we've seen Zed ban in this qualifier tournament actually, and prior to that, during the season 3 finals and the Worlds, he was almost picked or banned almost every game. So what do you feel happened that in this meta that really kind of put the pressure kind of off Zed and picking and banning him?
Well, first of all, Zed got nerfed, and the nerf, though it didn't really hit him hard, it wasn't really a hard nerf. He still does a lot of damage. He's still a very strong champion, but it really changed how he played. What you have to do is you have to use your ultimate to escape now instead of using your W. You have to use your W for the extra damage. So when you ulti in, you have to drop your W behind them or beside them to get the extra shurikens, because what used to happen is when you ulted in, your alt shadow would appear right behind the target, and you would get the free double shuriken or double E on the target, and that would account for a lot of your burst damage. So now he's even harder to play than he was before. So I think a lot of people have kind of gotten away from him because of the teamfight meta and how strong it is right now. And Zed, though he's an assassin, he requires a lot of skill to play, and you have to micro him very well. I mean, he's still very, very strong, but maybe not ban-worthy at this point.
I see. Very insightful stuff there. And we do see Day Wards first picking that Thresh. Leona and Thresh are, so powerful right now. Their ability to just engage and just make things happen for their team and set up their teammates for kills. There's not too many support champions that can keep up with those two. So
yeah,
I agree with
I
those
completely
picks.
agree with you. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Actually, Thresh is very, very strong, and he could set up. He works really well with every AD carry because he can give a carry an additional escape, and that's just so important, especially with a champion like Udyr, who doesn't really have a innate escape.
Right.
So, or even with Ashe or something like that, Ashe doesn't really have that innate escape, so it kind of gives a safety to the laning phase. I'm actually kind of surprised that we haven't seen any Karma's picks so far.
Yeah.
On the stream, because Karma's been very, very strong, because you can pop the Mantra E, I forget what it's called, with the Shurelya's, and you get a massive AoE team fight presence with the shield, and then you get the massive speed boost.
Right.
So I'm surprised we haven't seen the Karma recently, but we are seeing the Singed lock in, and Singed has kind of been a iffy pick. He hasn't really been played much competitively other than Looper on Samsung Galaxy Ozone. He's kind of a niche pick right now. You think that he'd be better, but he just doesn't do enough damage compared to the other tanks, I find. He plays a lot differently. He can't just run in at your carry and just base tank them for 10 seconds.
Right.
He requires a lot more people to chase him, and he's very irritating to play against, but he requires a lot of time to ramp up.
Yeah, definitely. So far as it stands, we have Thresh, Sivir, and Udyr, 4 Day Wards right now, and then 4 Cooking Mama's Kitchen. They get locked in that Vi, Jinx, Singed, as Burnout was saying, and Blitzcrank. So, yeah, Singe has completely disappeared. I mean, just like you said, only Looper plays it over in OGN, and even then they're not having the greatest success with it. But still, it's a very, very strange champion to pick nowadays because of how much bruisers are being selected up in the top lane. The dueling capabilities is very, very important as a top laner. But, you know, Singe is, if you can get towards that mid-game era, it's just so difficult to stop him. And, you know, you can't just let him run wild because he'll just proxy every single wave if you let him.
Yeah, and it's interesting that we're seeing the Malphite hover over here because Singed actually does fairly well against Malphite because of the fact that he can shove wave very early against Malphite, and
Right.
Malphite really has a tough time pushing the wave back. And also, Malphite kind of relies on his teleport to be able to get out of lane and help assist his teammates. And Singed can just proxy farm, he can interrupt a teleport, and he can push the wave way faster. So it's actually a kind of a questionable pick here. So it might favor the Singed here unless they have some sort of like ulterior motive.
Yeah.
The Udyr is going to be top a lot, but otherwise, I see that lane going in favor of Singed.
Yeah, I mean, they do have sort of like a R-button composition coming off our Day Awards right now with that Unstoppable Force, with the Command Shockwave, and then, of course, the Thresh just boxing them all in. And pretty much those can all go in any order as long as they can sync it up. But for Cooking Mom's Kitchen, it looks like they have more of like a pick composition. They just got the Assault and Battery to isolate that one target, or the Rocket Grab to isolate the target, and then Syndra with her unleashed power is gonna make quick work of that target. So
Yeah, it looks like they want to run a skirmish comp here. Their team really excels in skirmishes. Once Jinx gets her passive proc, she can really just kind of run around fights, and it looks like their teams really get like geared towards split up fights. They don't really want to group up. Syndra is very good in skirmishes. Jinx great in skirmishes. Singe is good in skirmishes. So is Vi. Whereas Malphite, he requires like team fights to be super, super effective. Sivir, her ultimate's really only super effective in team fights. I mean, it's great. It's great for chasing down people, but once again, it's just a better team fight. Like, it's basically a skirmish composition versus a team fight composition here.
Right.
And if they can force skirmishes and they can win those, they'll be able to team fight eventually and we'll be able to win team fights. But they really need to force those skirmishes first.
yeah, it actually, looking at Cooking Mama's Kitchen's team comp, they're gonna be really scary if they can get past 35 minutes, because you got the unkillable tank and Singe running all over your team and throwing back, you know, your squishy teammates. You got Vi diving in with the Assault Battery, and then Blitz is always a nuisance and one of the best peelers for in the game, with his ability to just with his power fist to knock people up. The AOE silence helps stop a lot of the follow-up spells on their people that get caught. And yeah, they just got a lot of peel, it looks like, but at the same time, you can't discount Day Ward's tankiness as well with the Malphite and Udyr. But I wanted to ask you, you know, Hill of a Shovel played one great Zac game yesterday, and he was unstoppable, didn't die once, and he was not afraid to jump in at all. Do you think maybe you know, they wanted Malphite for this particular composition, or Zac just didn't fit this type of play style here?
Zac actually does fairly well against Singe because he can shove wave back fairly easily. He can sustain up the poison harass. And he actually would have fit the team composition fairly well here. So I'm not exactly sure why they won the Malphite. Maybe because he just maybe more comfortable in the matchup against the Singe on Malphite.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
Malphite's Q is very good for chasing down Singe because you can steal his movement speed, and so when he actually gets like the Insanity Potion and Ghost running, and you Q him while he's ghosted in Insanity Potion, you actually steal this percentage move speed from his total move speed, so not his base. So
Right.
it actually makes you run really, really fast. So I mean, it could be a good matchup for Malphite, but early it's going to be tough for him because Malphite is very mana reliant early. You might see him start the Doran's Ring here, maybe even a Crystalline Flask, depending on what he's feeling, how much jungle pressure he's going to get. But it'll be hard for him early just to shove back Singe and stop him from farming under turret and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you know, just looking at that top lane, Malphite and Singe, Malphite's going to need some help really early because you don't want to get Singe the time to farm, get those levels, and you know, get up those skill levels as well, because he's going to be a nuisance. And you know, Malphite doesn't do a ton of damage early on, and Udyr really needs someone to pin his target down to really finish people off. So if they let Singe get to that, you know, point where he's able to escape a two-man gank, that's already a bad sign. So I'm expecting to see ganks happen top really early.
Yeah, I'm looking to see the level 3 gank top lane from both junglers actually, because I think the game's going to be decided in that top lane in which tank really gets ahead, because Vi and Udyr both get very tanky, both very hard to kill. Same with Singed and Malphite, but the problem with Singed is that excuse me, sorry. While Singed can actually kill Malphite, Malphite will never be able to kill Singed once he gets tanky.
Right.
Singed will be able to poison tick him down. He might be able to get that Leandries that people build on Singed. They build the Tyr, they build Leandries, they get that Rylai's. And so Singed will be able to kill Malphite, but it'll be very hard for Malphite to kill Singed unless he does go for an AD build, which we actually have seen more popular. Wicked has popularized that AD build, so I'm really looking forward to see what's going to happen in this game.
Right, you are. And we do have the results from you guys voting in to see who's going to win. And we're seeing 57% of you guys think Daywards is going to take this victory, despite, our discussions about the Malphite Singed matchup and who's going to come out on top there. But yeah, like you said, I agree with you. That matchup's going to really be, very crucial to who wins the game, because if Malphite gets off to a good start, those teleports are going to warrant a lot more, pressure. So if he can create those ganks and make use of his teleport is most important, because he's not going to be, like you said, killing Singed after a certain amount of time, because he doesn't have Ignite too. So
yeah.
But
and Singed is just so hard to lock down when he runs away from you. It's just so hard to kill him with the W, and yeah, it's hard champion to pin down in team fights as well.
Right, so we are loading in now, guys. Again, we are watching Daywards on blue side versus Cooking Mama's Kitchen. For Daywards, we have Revax playing Thresh. Iron Quan will be playing Sivir as the marksman. Leona will be playing Udyr in the jungle. Shovel will be playing Malphite in the top lane. And Bright Nova will be playing Orianna in the mid lane.
And for Cooking Mama's Kitchen, we have It's Moo on Singed in the top lane. We have Mirastigus on Vi in the jungle. We have Infinitum on Jinx as AD carry. We have About Luck on Blitzcrank as support. And we have Elegance on Syndra in the mid lane.
Right, so it looks like both the bot lane supports are going aggressive, and we know Revax has been playing super aggressive. He's been known for his Annie play for the past couple days, just going flash Tibbers whenever it's up, so not surprising to see it there. And also, About Luck on Blitzcrank has got Ignite as well, so definitely expect to see a lot of action unfold down there. But Sivir does have that spell shield to block that rocket grab, so it's really going to depend very heavily on their fight selection for Cooking Mama's Kitchen, because if they don't land that rocket grab, they're already down on ability and displacement ability.
Exactly, they're gonna have to bait out that spell shield to actually win trades. Maybe bait out the Jinx Zap, or kind of like play around it, get a jungler gank in, find a way to get around it. Because yes, it is a very strong skill, but it also has a very long cooldown early levels.
Right.
So it's like 24 seconds, I believe, at level 1. So I mean, Blitzcrank grab is only 14 seconds, so you could possibly miss a grab and then go for a second grab afterwards when the spell shield is down. So there's really a lot of play. You have to really calculate the cooldowns and play that properly.
Absolutely right. And then of course we do have the ball magicians in mid lane, Orianna on one side and then Syndra on the other side. It's very intense skill matchup in that, because I've seen Orianna's beat Syndra's, and then on the other side of the coin I've seen Syndra's beat Orianna's. What are like your key win factors for either side? Like, who's going to come out on top in that mid lane?
It really depends on how well Syndra can harass early, because after a certain point Orianna can just farm no problem no matter what. It just depends on Orianna's positioning in the lane and Syndra's ability and willingness to overextend and harass. So Syndra can out-trade Orianna early because she has such low cooldowns and low mana costs on her Q. So if she can get Orianna out of position when she's trying to farm and just keep hitting her with Qs, she will actually be able to kill Orianna fairly early if she can land her Scatter the Weak and then her Force of Will. So, and then level 6 is a huge power spike for both champions, so it's really about who's going to be able to harass more in lane and who's going to hit level 6 first.
Yeah, definitely. And the Vi and Syndra ganks are actually pretty terrifying if you are Orianna, because she doesn't have any natural escape moves except for her command dissonance to help speed boost her out of there. So she's really going to need to be careful around that time.
Yeah, and if they stack their CC properly at level 6, it should be an instant kill no matter if Oriana burns through Flash or not, just because of the amount of burst damage that Syndra has and the amount of burst that Vi can contain as well. So mid lane is really going to be a focus. I mean, they've been saying now in the pros for a while that mid lane is actually a 2v2, not a 1v1. It's a 2v2 between the jungler and the mid laner, and not so much between the jungler and the or not so much between the two mid laners themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to see how the junglers can really pressure the lane here.
Yeah, and definitely, you gotta give the ganking potential for Cookie Mama's Kitchen, just because Udyr relies, like we said earlier, so much on someone to help pin him down so he can get that initial bear stance stun. And he does have the speed boost from Oriana, but it's gonna take a lot of good timing and maybe a little bit of luck for Syndra to be out of position a little bit for Udyr to get a really well placed gank in.
And even then, Syndra has the Scout of the Week, so if she saves that, Udyr's never going to be able to touch her, because not only, even if she does miss the stun on him, it's still a knockback, and it'll still set him back there. So he's going to have a tough time unless he maybe flash E's bear stuns onto Syndra, but otherwise he's going to have a really tough time getting to her, because she does possess the slow, she has the knockback and the stun, she has a lot of damage, she can kite very, very well, so if you don't really get to Syndra, she can just kite you out and just eventually and slowly kill you, because she does possess a lot of damage.
Right. So, going into the late game, which team do you think has the advantage here? Because, I see benefits to both sides. Like we said, Daywards does have that nice R-button composition and very team fight oriented setup they have going on there. And then Cookie Mama's Kitchen, they're more, they're probably going to let Singe, split push and proxy as much as they can, and then try and force a 4v4, because they have those two picks coming out from the Rocket Grab and the Assault and Battery, and then wonderful execution capability with the Jinx and Syndra. So I don't know who's got this edge in the late game.
I'm going to base this solely on if both teams are even. If both teams are even at 45 minutes, I believe that Daywards will win. Not because of the fact that Singe isn't going to be a factor, but because of the fact that they can delete Syndra and Jinx off the map.
Right.
They can have the Oriana ball placed on the Malphite, and they can have the Unstoppable Force go in with the Sivir, because they can speed up that. They can dissonance and Sivir that Malphite, and he can just ult right to the back line, and they'll not be able to stop him because it is Unstoppable Force.
Right.
So they can instantly blow up that Jinx and Syndra, and that is just a huge problem for them. Also, the fact that Udyr, when he gets to the late game, he becomes an unstoppable, unkillable running man that you can never catch.
Yeah.
And he gets to be the most annoying champion in the game.
Yeah.
So if this game goes really late, I do see the fights kind of going over to Daywards, but then again, if they're not even, the Daywards will not be able to fight them. So
Right.
it's really going to be a toss-up, I think, this game.
Yeah, and it really does depend heavily. When you have a Blitzcrank, you rely so much on those rocket grabs landing, and even if the team is losing, one well-placed grab to pick off a champion on the other team, it can really change everything. And I've played many games where I've been down, and then that one rocket grab, maybe at Baron, catching that AP carryout, just completely swings the turn of the tides there.
And then again, the wrong grab could actually end the game for you.
That's
you could
true.
You could pull that Malphite, and you really don't want to do that, because if you pull that Malphite towards your carries, that's a free 4-man Unstoppable Force. So it really depends. Blitzcrank's kind of like a 50-50 champion. You can win the game with a pull, or you can lose the game with a pull.
Right.
So we've all seen those plays where Blitzcrank pulls in a Karthus, and then he Zhonya's with the Defile on.
Right.
And then it just ends so poorly. So it's really a toss-up here.
Yeah, anything can happen. It's kind of like a hit or miss type of pick, but yeah, most of the time, especially if you grab someone that's not a tank, good things will happen. You'll at least get like a summoner out. But it does look like Cookie Mama's Kitchen are going to do a little late invade to the bottom try here. They are spotted by a ward, so they're going to raise those red flags and not step anywhere near that red buff. They're pretty sure that buff is gone.
And actually, Singe also putting some pressure down on the top lane and forcing Udyr to take actually a lot of damage out of his blue buff.
Right.
And really stalling him, and while they steal that red buff down bottom. So Udyr will be looking to go to the red buff, but because he is so low, Singe will be able to contest that, and he knows that Udyr is going for that red buff. So we're looking to see something happen at the Cookie Mama's Kitchen red buff right now.
Wow, and actually a big trade already went down in the bot lane. Blitzcrank did pull in Revax, and he actually flayed them all in, I believe. Yeah, and then got significant amounts of damage on Jinx already.
Yeah, and they're both forced to use their pots, so I actually like taking Flay first on Thresh because it gives you so much more presence in the lane. I know people like to have that hook for the invades, but I think that Flash Flays are actually stronger at level 1 than the hook is, so... But there is actually going down the jungle.
Wow, yeah, Udyr is just trying so hard to counter jungle and actually overstayed his welcome a little bit too long, and with the help of Syndra, Morit gets that first blood.
Yeah, and that was just an overstay and over pursue by Udyr there. He forced Vi out of her jungle, and he was winning the trade, but he overcommitted, over pursued, and Syndra was able to rotate there and pick up the kill with the ignite and the flash E from Syndra. The kill probably would have been better off on Syndra because she did use that ignite, but it's going to make Vi's jungling faster because she is going to get 3 out of the 4 buffs. Well, she's going to get all 4 buffs, I guess, but she is really going to put Udyr behind now because he won't be able to fight Vi at all for a while.
Oh, and actually Revax gets pulled right in at tower range, forced to use that flash. Actually throws the death sentence and flies in with it. He's one more hit away. Oh, that lantern just barely kept him alive, but wow, Blitz and Thresh both a hair away from dying there.
Yeah, and just very, very close. Very lucky by Revax there. I think he underestimated the turret range there when he went back in for the second. When he went in on the death sentence, usually you see people just like pull them closer and then play, and then missed Vault Breaker there on Malphite. But yeah, he just got very lucky. He was able to. He actually just leveled up, so he had the lantern there to save him. So nice play there to stay alive, and just great play in general. But both teams staying alive.
Yeah, Revax doing a pretty good job, even though he had to go back prematurely. He's keeping his Sivir safe, and you know it's really showing through just how confident Sivir is in lane because Revax's presence is probably one of the best that we've been seeing over the weekend, and he's got phenomenal zoning when he knows what he can do.
Yeah, and support is such an underrated role. I mean, it's really the support that wins the bot lane, not so much the AD carry. Unless it's like you're playing a huge lane bully and the other team is really passive champions, but usually it's the support that really controls the pace of the bot lane and really kind of wins the lane. So support is so important early game, and I hate when people don't give the support the recognition they deserve.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's also a lot more outside of the laning phase as well. The warding is very underrated and very important to the game because if you're not keeping track of your ward timers and you let a ward die, suddenly that whole part of the map is a complete unknown to your whole team. You could walk into a 5-man team and you wouldn't even know it, and that could swing the tide faster than anything. So it's just all it takes is a simple ward to really save a team sometimes.
Yeah, and just warding is so underappreciated at lower levels. Sometimes even in gold when I was playing there, you still see people not warding that much, and you think that they would know better. Even now people that there's only the 3 ward limit. There are people warding more. They have the warding trinket and all that stuff. They know to ward, but before then it was really, really bad. So I'm kind of glad with the changes Riot's put in here because warding has become more and more apparent to lower elos. Not necessarily the higher ones. Everyone always warded, but
Right.
At lower elos, people were not necessarily warding as much. So even now they have a trinket. That's still 5 wards in the map that they wouldn't have had before necessarily.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I like the move